Here we go. Thank you, Jerry Jones! I had a great time! Thank you. I'm going to exit the building now. Like a loser.
House that Jerry Jones built?
It's a house for losers.
Yep.
Charles Haley was 100% right. This, friends, is a house for losers.
Pretty much.
We suck. We suck. But I had a great trip. 100% right. This is a house for losers. You know what's amazing is this house is almost like a sundial. Because like this morning, I don't have the ceiling lights on, but you can see the light coming through the window. When, in the middle of the summer, the light is shining directly over there, and it just works its way around the room. It's kind of beautiful and poetic, and I love when it pops in through a bedroom window and wakes me up, and the sun just kind of kisses my wife, that beautiful, beautiful wife that I have. It's times like these that we realize the things that are important, including the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys, they stink. They're terrible. We are in a mess as we go and get ready to play the Washington Commanders, where we are 10.5-point underdogs. I literally cannot believe that the Cowboys are a 10.5-point dog to anybody. But that's literally how low that we have fallen, that it's awful. And going into this game, here's how bad it is. This is how bad it is. Last year, we had 3 Pro Bowl offensive linemen. Tyron Smith, who went off to the Jets, who probably is playing his last year, having a terrible season. Zach Martin, who did not practice yesterday and is having a terrible season. Tyler Smith, having a decent season, but has an ankle knee issue and did not practice yesterday. So they both missed practice. That's not a good thing as far as the Cowboys go. Today is the recovery day. Tomorrow's the travel day to Washington. They'll be leaving like 11 o'clock or so in the morning, I believe it is. And we'll be getting to their hotel about 5 o'clock in the evening. To take on the Commanders, definitely shorthanded. There is some good news, I guess. Brandon Cooks is back at practicing. So is Deron Bland and Marshawn Nealon. I don't know if that's going to be enough to overcome the Commanders. At this point, probably the best news that happened for the Cowboys is the Cleveland Browns won last night and now have the same record as the Cowboys. But I think we own the tiebreaker against them because we beat them in week 1. So that's where we are right now. And, of course, we get Jerry Jones, who has the flavor of the day as far as teasing us, because that's all we have right now. He's praising Cliff Kingsbury as a great friend and a great coach and everything else. And, when Jerry Jones says something, it's kind of like the old E.F. Hutton commercials. Some of my older people out here remember those. When E.F. Hutton talks, investment company, people listen. So when Jerry Jones talk, sadly, people still listen. And now he's been praising Cliff Kingsbury. Of course, he was talking about Jason Witten. And then there's Deion Sanders and, of course, Bill Belichick. So I guess we're beginning to get the list together of people that Jerry likes that might possibly be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, or just something to try and keep the Cowboys relevant. That's where we are right now. It sucks. It sucks. That's all I can say. Going on the Dan Saleo show, I'm not even sure it's even fun anymore for the Eagles and the 49ers and things to troll me. I'm still getting a few emails from 49er fans, but they're pretty disappointed in their season as well. But this is what we got. It'll be a busy off season, and there you have it. I'm going to be hitting the road today. I'm going to be going up to Harrisburg to take care of my friend Allie, do some work at her house, and literally get read the riot act by Eagles fans. So I'll be knee deep in Eagles territory, and now I hear it's snowing up there. So there's that. So let's go on to whether or not Micah Parsons will be a Cowboy next year.
Back on Get Up, and it's time for an all J-Mac edition of Fill in the Blankets. You're going to foresee the future for us.
Let's go.
J-Mac, let's go. In 2025, Micah Parsons will be what?
The highest paid defensive player in the NFL for the Dallas Cowboys. Get all that trade talk out of here. He is going to be paid. They have no choice but to keep this guy in the building. When you're a game wrecker like Micah Parsons is, you don't just let him walk out the door. Forget about first-round draft picks and all that stuff. Micah Parsons remains there, and he continues the podcast.
All right, put a pin in that. We're going to come back to that one, too. Next up, in 2025, Aaron Rodgers will be what?
Retired. Aaron Rodgers' Hall of Fame career will be moving on to greener pastures. Maybe he's hosting Jeopardy. Maybe he gets into politics. Who knows? He's a well-rounded individual that loves to do a ton of things. But watching Rodgers in this Jets offense this year, I think it is clear-cut that he will be moving on. I don't think he remains the Jets starting quarterback. And as great and as fantastic as Aaron Rodgers has been, I think he wraps it up.
I felt bad for you and Cheeky and Catalan that you had to sit there and watch that entire game.
Anthony Richardson gave us some highlights.
On Sunday, yeah, I know. It was bad
for
enough.
You, it was rough.
Bad enough I had to watch it. And then finally, stay in New York. In 2025, the New York Giants starting quarterback will be...
They will be led by Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. We see right now the path that they are going on with who they're starting with Tommy DeVito at quarterback. Now Daniel Jones being the fourth string quarterback in the Giants organization. One of these rookie quarterbacks will be leading the way and seeing how many victories he can bring to the New York Giants.
So that's interesting. Let me bring the guys in here on that. For whatever it's worth, I do the First Draft podcast with Mel and Field every week. I think there is a sense that Shedeur is the number one quarterback in this class, but as the process goes, Cam Ward from Miami certainly would have a chance to challenge for that. One way or another, the topic of Shedeur Sanders is going to inevitably lead us to his incredibly famous father. Shefty, I've been waiting all week to get all week to get you in here, because you see it, you hear it, you're a part of the conversation. Everyone is talking about Deion to the National Football League. What is your sense?
Well, Deion said this week that he's got the kickstand down at Colorado, and I believe that he does love being there and influencing the lives of young men. That matters to him. But I also believe that with that kickstand, you can go buy a bicycle and kick a kickstand and wipe out the bike, right? And I think it's up to an NFL owner to go up and kick that kickstand and make it such that the bike comes crumbling down in Boulder, and they have to take the bike and transport it to Dallas or whatever city is making a head coaching change. I think he'd like to stay there, but I think it's up to some team to make it worth his while, whether it's with Shedeur Sanders at quarterback or in another way to bring him to their franchise if that's what they want.
Prime to the NFL. Your thoughts, Harry?
I don't like it. I personally believe that Deion is meant to be in college, being a mentor, helping these kids out as individuals, not just with on the field things, but also the way of life and how to walk in and off the football field. And also, when you look at a guy like Deion, right, he played at the highest level. He's the best that ever did it at the cornerback position. When you move to the NFL, you got to deal with the egotistical part of things when it comes to these players, right? Guys making more money than you, feeling like they're higher than they really are. But Deion understands that part of it. That's why I believe he stays in college, because he truly loves it there and he loves making a difference in these young men's lives.
I think Deion will control where Shedeur goes. I do not believe that Deion's going to go to the NFL with Shedeur. Yeah. Deion has set Shedeur up for success. Going to the NFL with Shedeur would set him up for failure. This is the grown men's league. He's not going to go play daddy's son in the NFL. I don't believe that Deion thinks that that's the best situation, the best thing for his son. I also think, because of what's happened this week, it's way more likely that he stays at Colorado. Colorado's on the verge of flipping a big-time recruit from USC quarterback-wise.
Julian Lewis, who's from Carrollton in Georgia.
I just don't believe that young man would be entertaining. He just decommitted from USC and flipping to Colorado unless he truly believed that Deion wasn't going anywhere.
I look at it for Deion. he would be so influential in the NFL. When you talked about how great his career is, but just his demeanor, his ability to connect with guys, I think that's the toughest part in the NFL. Is now you can't just tell a guy what to do. I think that's where Deion Sanders, whether he wants to stay in college or not, if he goes to the pros, I think that move would be advantageous to him and whatever team that's willing to bring him in. I agree with Dan. I don't see the package deal situation, but I do think if it does happen, guys on that team would be okay with it.
Greeny, I would add this. I'm going to piggyback off what Dan said. If they're able to make the college football playoffs and win the Big 12, do you think about the level of recruiting that Deion would take the Colorado program? They have fun. They win. You're going to get the notoriety. Why wouldn't people want to go to Colorado to play for Deion?
No, people may want to go to. Look, I don't know Deion. You got some of you may do. I know you know him from your days working together once upon a time at NFL Network. Like I don't know what he wants. Some people want to go to the NFL. There's just a different challenge, a different thing. He's not someone I know. There's no way I can answer that question. What I do know is this whole idea of young players not having respect for older players. He is one of the exceptions to that. Right? Deion Sanders is one of those guys who cuts through that. Young players of today revere him. I know this because you and I live it every Sunday. We work with Randy Moss, and we do this thing called Countdown Cam, okay? Yep. And so current players will come on the set, on a camera as they're walking into a stadium. They're not doing it to talk to me. They're doing it because they hear Randy Moss wants to talk to me, and they all come on, and when they talk to Randy, it's like they're talking to a deity.
Absolutely.
And that's who Deion is. And so if Deion is your coach, I mean, they've all seen this. They all know this. Deion kind of invented the modern NFL with the swagger and everything else that the league is. I think that's a fascinating piece of it. If he decides to go to the NFL, look, I'm in the interesting business. I'm all in on him because he's interesting about it yesterday. Because I think this is interesting. We've all heard it. We've all heard the maybe Deion and Shedeur together to the Raiders or something like that. Here's what Hawk said yesterday about them as a package.
I'm going to go on record and say I love Deion Sanders as an NFL head coach, my number one candidate. I love Shedeur Sanders as an NFL quarterback, my number one prospect. I don't want them together. No chance. I do not want to be in the locker room where the head coach and the quarterback are son and father. No. I can't say what I want to say in the locker room. There's going to be, this is grown men. That's a tough situation.
That would be
I'm just talking from my own perspective.
100%.
Would not want that.
So this is a fascinating dynamic because it is something that at least on some level, Harry, you actually lived.
Yeah, so my wide receiver coach, Terry Robisky, there was a year his son, Brian Robisky, played with us. And what I loved about Coach Robisky and why he was one of the greatest coaches ever
never trust a
is the simple fact that he didn't play favorites. He never wanted us to feel like we had to approach him differently, talk differently in that locker room. And that's the way we went about our business. And Brian understood that. Now, it may have been some stuff like in one-on-ones with defensive players, man talking about his son, the whole nine, but Robisky was like, I'm staying out of that. That's my son has to deal with that.
For you guys in the receiver room, when you would walk in the locker room, you get that break. Would guys sit there and say, I don't really want to say anything about
Hell no.
You say whatever you want.
We said whatever the hell we want to say, point blank, period. Because that's the relationship.
We hate him. I mean, you do.
But that's the relationship we had with our coach, though.
Yeah.
Nothing that we said in that locker room, we couldn't say to our coach one-on-one either.
Okay, so let me just throw this. I'm just going to throw it out there. All right. Tom Brady, Mark Davis, a lot of star power, high draft pick. I mean, it's all sitting right there. If you just pick up breadcrumbs, and Shefty is going to get mad at me because he doesn't pick up breadcrumbs. No. He's not Hansel and Gretel, but I am. I'm following the breadcrumbs. I'm saying Deion and Shedeur to Vegas. It feels like it makes sense.
I love Shedeur to Vegas. I don't love Deion and Shedeur to Vegas. I don't. In my heart, I believe that Deion has had a plan in his mind with Shedeur for years to set him up for success. He has absolutely unequivocally done that. There's nothing that tells me Deion thinks the best thing for Shedeur is for me to go with him. At some point, you got to let him go. At some point, he's got to go create his own story, his own path, and become his own man. And I don't think that in an NFL locker room with a rookie quarterback and a first-time head coach, that is setting either up for success. Because at some point, the head coach has got to make a difficult decision on the quarterback, or some point the quarterback has got to take control of the organization from the head coach. I just don't see it together.
I'm just sitting here and thinking of last year. The NFL is an entertainment business, okay? And last year, there were, I believe, 8 or 9 teams that changed head coaches. And I think there were two of them that actively pursued Jim Harbaugh. Now, whether or not you look at this and agree with it, Jim Harbaugh knows football.
No doubt.
And he is a big draw.
No doubt.
Deion Sanders knows football and is a big draw. And while he may have his kickstand down in Colorado, there may be an owner out there thinking, with all this money coming in through the collective bargaining agreement, with all the money coming in through gambling, with all the added revenue streams in the National Football League, I want to bring a big name with football knowledge who would be an asset to the guys in my locker room, to my locker room. And I'm going to make it really hard for Deion Sanders to say no.
That's an interesting take there. Definitely an interesting take. I think Deion, honestly, I don't think Deion is leaving. With the big quarterback transferring to Colorado, he had to have some kind of insurances that's who is going to coach me, I would think. Now, again, things change. Players get left, holding the bag and so on. So, nothing is guaranteed in life. I mean, heck, I would have thought for sure that Pittsburgh was going to win last night. And here it is, the Cleveland Browns win in the snow. So we don't know what we don't know. All right, good people. I'll see you guys on the road. And hope you all have a great day. And it's Cowboys Washington 8 week. I literally am whimpering. Peace.